Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, an authentic football fan channel dedicated to Manchester United. This is your preview for the game against Tottenham Hotspur at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Is that the right name for it, Dan? Yeah?
It is indeed.
That. Yeah, very creative name. Love it. At the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Another game with huge significance if we want to qualify for the Champions League. And it feels like the fixture that will have a huge say in this story. Now, on today's show, should I say, we've got Sam, Adam, and Dan, who's a Spurs fan, so of course he'll be batting for the other team today. First and foremost, Dan, thank you for coming on in such tough times. If you can just describe in 3 words what life is like as a Tottenham fan at the minute, that would be amazing.
What I think it's kind of the same 3 words crop up every year, and it's misery, disgust, and final word, just depression. I think just all 3 great words.
Oh yeah, very, very positive signs there. We're gonna dive into all things Tottenham very, very shortly. We've also got, of course, the red side in Adam and Sam. Are we feeling confident going into this one, lads?
No.
No. Okay. Adam, are you confident?
Yeah, I'm feeling confident. There's only one little worry, and I think it's that statement that they put out that they want to set things right against us. But it's Tottenham at the end of the day, isn't it?
Wow.
Wow. Got fired early. That's what Fergie said, isn't it? It's Tottenham. Don't worry about it, lads. That could be well getting clipped by the end of tomorrow night.
Definitely.
Yeah. As always, people, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, smash a like on the video, and also get your questions in if you have any questions for Dan as well, for perspective on Spurs. I'm sure he's more than happy to help, but hopefully we'll cover most of the stuff and topics, etc. during the show. Just a quick one as well. I'll be live on TikTok and YouTube from 7:15 tomorrow with team news, so make sure you come and jump in the chat and throw me some questions. As always, we always start the previews off with a little bit of a warm-up, so I'm just going to try to do this as a collective between each other, well, between everybody who's in the thing. Who has scored more goals in the Premier League, Harry Kane or Wayne Rooney? And how many do they have?
Oh, shit.
Actually, this is for everyone, by the way. It's not just for Dan, so the other 2 lads can't get away with it.
I think,
I think it's Harry Kane.
I think it's Rooney.
Adam?
I think Kane surpassed it, didn't he? He was up
recently?
there anyway.
Oh shit, he did, didn't he? Yeah, he did it recently. Yeah.
I know Shearer is like 280, isn't he?
Yeah. I think Harry Kane's roughly 240 is what I'd say.
Yeah.
In the Premier League alone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so.
Are you sure? Are you going to lock in them answers?
I thought it was Rooney, so I'll go with these 2.
From the research that I have conducted, I can tell you that Wayne Rooney has 208 goals. Harry Kane has 207 goals currently, right now, as it stands. So Wayne Rooney, by 1 goal, is currently beating him at the minute. Literally one goal.
Get in.
So it's literally very close. Next question. Who was at the club longer when he was in charge? Mauricio Pochettino or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
Poch.
How long was each in charge for?
Ollie was 2.5
3
seasons. There's 3. Are we counting when he was caretaker as well?
Well, yeah, that's the fine line. March 2019 to November 2021.
Right. Yeah, I think Poch was 3 and a bit years. So I think he just got a little bit of an edge on him.
5 years, Mauricio Pochettino.
5?
2004, 2014 to 2019. It was just like 5 months after he lost the Champions League final, I think, with Pot.
Well, he did back him, didn't he, in 2 summers? Like, literally 2 summers in a row, didn't back him or whatsoever. So.
Are you seeing Spurs pull purse strings, Sam? Is that what you're implying?
I mean, I'm saying what everybody knows, Daniel Levy today, but yeah.
Last question in the warm-up. Who has scored more goals in the league this season and who has conceded the most out of Spurs and United?
I think...
Conceded the most Spurs.
Are we? Is it not us? Because we've been dicked a couple of times. And Spurs have only been dicked, like, once.
I think both teams have had more dicks than a Kardashian, to be honest. We've
had City have battered us, Liverpool have battered us, Brentford put 4 past us. Hey, there you go. Good timing. Good timing.
There we go. That's what you're here for, Adam.
But Spurs have only been battered by Newcastle, haven't they?
I think we've only been battered by one or two, but consistently we've gone behind in the first half and had to come back in the second half, and so I think we've probably conceded more in that sense, like over an average of games rather than getting dicked.
Adam, what do you think? Have United conceded more goals or Spurs?
Well, that's a weird one because I think in 4 games we conceded something like 16 or 18 goals just in the 4 matches.
Our goal
we have the
difference
most
is
clean
like what,
sheets.
7 at the minute?
9.
9.
I think it's
yeah.
9, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're about to
Shite.
get double digits.
Come on.
Consider that a trophy.
Yeah.
But
Can't wait for that. Okay, no.
I'm gonna go. We've conceded less, just based on the clean sheets because I know we're top.
So Spurs have conceded 51 goals and United have conceded 37 goals this season.
Bit of a difference,
Yeah.
Also,
Half of them in 4 games.
Right.
Yeah.
Who scored more goals, United or Spurs?
I think personally, based on the fact that we've, we're 5th, 6th in the league, we've had to come back in the second half so many times. I reckon Spurs have scored more, conceded more, but scored more.
Harry Kane scored a lot of goals, hasn't he? He's like what? He's on 21.
4.
20 something.
I guess.
20 something.
I know it's 20 something,
Rashford's
yeah.
only on what? 20.
No, not even that in the league,
15,
I don't think. Yeah, about
18.
15 in the league.
Yeah, I'd go Spurs.
Yeah, Spurs scored 58 goals. Manchester United have scored 46 goals. So Spurs have scored more. Tongue twister that, but they've conceded more as well. So it's kind of a bit of a double-edged sword there. Now, the game ahead tomorrow night, lads, as we touched on before, does have huge significance in regards to Champions League football. We're coming off a KJ grueling game against Brighton, which of course went to extra time and penalties. But we did advance in that. We did win the game. So there's a tiny little bit of momentum now after crashing out of Europa League in dramatic fashion against Sevilla on Thursday night. And sorry in advance, Dan, but Spurs themselves are coming off a 6-1 roast into Newcastle, which led them to sack their interim manager, Christian Stellini. So Champions League football is currently hanging in the balance for them, and they need these 3 points badly. I'm not sure if I'm in the minority with this one. I'm sure you lads will touch on it, but I think this could be a potential banana skin. I just have that feeling about it. Spurs, when I watched them against Newcastle, they trialed some stuff. I think they went to a back four, didn't they? And it was a little bit shaky, and Newcastle was getting behind. So I think they'll be much more up for this. There may be a reaction under, I'd say, new interim manager Ryan Mason, but he's been there before and done the job. And so it's kind of a little bit of a manager bounce, if you will. But this is a preview. We've got special guest on today. So let's see if Dan feels as pessimistic as I do. What's your confidence level heading into this, Dan?
Rock bottom. I think, playing a team that's 3rd in or 4th in the league and you're kind of 1 place behind them as of Sunday now. I think Aston Villa's gone above us. I think no one was expecting that result, for it to happen so quickly as well, for 5 goals to go in within the first 23 minutes. I think it was a complete shock. And because of that, I think, with Conte leaving by mutual agreement, Stellini coming in, when Conte had his surgery, Stellini was kind of head coach then in the interim there. And we were, we played some good football under him. And I think a lot of people were kind of confident that he'd keep the cogs turning with the team until we found kind of a permanent role. But for him to trial stuff against a team that's, above you in the league, and it's getting to the late stages of the season, and you're playing for Champions League football, it seems like a stupid thing to do, and I think that a manager with little experience would do, and I think that's kind of what happened with Stellini. For us to then kind of replace with another interim manager to get Ryan Mason, kind of head coach. Yes, he knows the team. He's worked with them for a while. He played as a Spurs player. I still don't think he's got that experience to play against, a top 4 team, which is you guys. Especially with the amount of stress that's going to be on his shoulders and the amount of pressure and the pressure to perform and to get a good result for us to kind of keep us in that fight. So yeah, my confidence is very, very low. I don't think we'll be able to get more than 1 past you, if at all any.
Oh wow, really? I feel like there's been a couple of decisions at Tottenham that it's been a bit strange. Like the Mourinho sacking in a cup final, and they brought Ryan Mason in for that, didn't they? I thought it was a bizarre one. And then the Stellini, obviously that's more of a coach's decision, going to a back four in such a pivotal game where, even if you draw that game, you can kind of stick at it right into the end of the season. It's just very, very strange for me. But just focusing on our side a little bit more, Sam, we wasn't overly convincing ourselves against Brighton. Like I said, it was a very cagey game. Our attackers on the front end were very quiet, and it feels like we just did a job. Are you expecting more from us in this one?
It depends who we've got on the pitch. I know we're going to touch on Bruno Fernandes shortly during the preview, but there's a couple of people who are doubts. Rashford didn't look particularly fit against Brighton, didn't look great. Shaw, I thought did really well despite not looking fit at all. So there's a couple of worries there. A couple of players are underperforming towards the end of the season. I think tiredness is kicking in, and I think injuries are catching up to us because I think we've played more games than any team in Europe at this point. So it's just, and we've gone to the end of pretty much every competition bar the Europa League. So I think tiredness is kicking in, and the legs are starting to wear. A lot of our players went really deep in the World Cup as well. So it's just, it's catching up to us now, and it just shows the lack of squad depth that we have, that we can't rotate people out, because City can drop somebody like a Jack Grealish or a Phil Foden, and they can bring in a Riyad Mahrez and Bernardo Silva, and it's like the dropping quality is just doesn't.
Not bad, is it?
Doesn't matter, does it? Whereas if Martial's not fit, which quite often he isn't, the alternative for Weghorst, quality wise, is significant. Same with Bruno Fernandes. We lose Bruno Fernandes, it's a toss up between Christian Eriksen and Fred, and it's just the way Eriksen's been playing lately isn't great, and Fred is, we know, 50-50 at best of times. So it's a bit worrying at the minute. I think we're going to limp over the line. I think we'll get top four. I think we get absolutely battered in the FA Cup final, but I think we just limp over the line. One trophy, top four Champions League football, and then rebuild in the summer. We're just dragging out, like the Terminator, Terminator 2, where he's had his legs chopped off and he's just dragging himself with no legs. That's what we're doing at the minute. That's what's happening.
Yeah, you never know with Christian Eriksen though. He has been poor. I agree with the past couple of games. He's going back to his old club though. Might have it. Sometimes you get them players, don't they? You put in a bit of a performance, revisiting when they first initially started. But Adam, we've got problems all over the pitch, haven't we? It's not just the attacking areas like we discussed. I mean, Luke Shaw and Lindelof were pretty solid at the back, in fairness to him. But if you see a name like, let's say, the starting lineup comes out tomorrow and you've got Maguire in the back line, would that be a worry sign for you if you see Maguire starting?
I think if you're the Spurs attackers, you're probably licking your lips if you see Harry Maguire's name an hour before kickoff, if I'm being honest. Especially, it depends on what side, because we've seen him actually play kind of both sides of the defence now, both sides of centre-back. Given what I saw last week in the Europa League, absolutely horrendous. It would be a worry. I'd probably start what we saw in the FA Cup final, because if something isn't broken, don't try and fix it. And I thought Luke Shaw played really, really well, despite, I know there was worrying signs earlier in the week that he was unfit, but he seemed to be head and shoulders above most of the people on the pitch. I'd probably start him and Lindelof again, just progressively, the way we like to play from the back. I think it's the best option. Maguire, many people tipped him to be, our ball-playing centre-back who's meant to be good. I know he's good at long passing and that, but that sort of, turning, kind of beating the press, he's not good at that. We've seen it as well, and that's a worry, because I'm sure it's something that Spurs will be looking at if he does start. Try and win the ball high up the pitch when he's on the ball. So that'd be worry signs right away for an hour before kickoff if I saw that name.
Yeah, I'd be slightly frustrated with Ten Hag if he went for him, just because of the politics behind it and the fact he's a captain and all. It'd be interesting to see who's captain tomorrow as well. That's another thing that we should speak about a little bit later on. Maybe De Gea, but who knows? I mentioned Ten Hag there. I want to flip it to the other side and speak to you about your season in general, Dan. Talk to me about Conte and what went down from your perspective. How much was it down to him? How much was it down to Daniel Levy? How the season's gone? And who do you see potentially coming in as a new boss over the summer?
So my thoughts on the season as a whole is that, we've seen it with Mourinho now, where there have been comments about not only kind of the owners, but the players as well. And it seems to be sort of a running theme where the players seem to have an issue about playing for themselves. And that's, I think, one of the big things that Conte said before he left. And so I think it's at this point in time for our team, it's not down to the managers anymore. We can bring in as many top class managers as we like. It feels to me like either Daniel Levy needs to change. He needs to back managers more. He needs to make it easier for us to sell players rather than see it as a profit making scheme. I think he needs to just cut his losses, shift some players, and have a refresh of the squad. And I think the players themselves need to really look at themselves and look at them as a team and figure out, are they playing for themselves? Are they playing for their own success, or are they playing for the team's success? And I think that's a real big issue that's been around for a while now. We usually come away from a big loss and we don't come back with that fighting spirit a lot of the time. And so I think that's kind of been the same throughout the entire season. I think bringing Conte in, he's improved us a lot. And we've played the best football we possibly can with a team that's kind of a bit dysfunctional. And so I think if we were to get any kind of mid-level managers, so like, I'm not saying this is someone I expect to come in, or nor do I want, but Brendan Rodgers maybe, since he was sacked from Leicester.
God, please no. I feel sorry.
Sam's favourite manager. That
if you get in, mate, you're dead. You're dead in the water.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, I think with any mid-level manager, we're going to be dead in the water anyway. I think the top class managers are keeping us playing at our absolute best, but to really get to a top, top two, winning the league, we need a refresh of players. I like the style of football that Conte played. I think, a bit of Conte ball and a bit of playing for the counter attack worked really well for us. I think we've got some good wingers that, like Ryan Sessegnon, even though he's injured at the moment, I think he's gained a lot of confidence this season as a whole and kind of the tail end of last season as well. So I think it's no longer about the manager; it's more about the players and the owner.
Yeah, recruitment's going to have to be spot on in it going into this summer.
I think I have to give it to Daniel Levy because last season when Conte came in, he backed Conte more than he's ever backed any recent managers. I think he gave him a lot of money. We brought in some really good players from Juventus like Kulusevski and Bentancur. We've got incredible player. Yeah. I think if he wasn't injured in the game tomorrow, I think I'd be a lot more confident because he always gives us all. So it was good to see us bring in some new players and really give us a bit of squad depth that we've been lacking for a long time. That being said, with managers that I'd like to see in, I don't know at this point. I absolutely don't know. I think Nagelsmann, I think from, he was at
Bayern Munich.
Bayern, was it? Yeah. Bayern, yeah. I think for him to come in, I think it would be great for us. From what I've heard, he's open to talks with Daniel Levy and the team. It'd be good to come in, but we need that backing from the owner. We need that backing from the players.
Yeah. I was looking at the form before, more kind of recent. In the last 5 games, only won 1, drawn 2, and lost 2. And in fact, the game that they won was the controversial Brighton fixture, where Brighton's manager looked like he was going to kill someone at the end of it with the decisions that kind of went on. But one player who's always been a constant for you guys and just recently broke the Jimmy Greaves record, and it's obvious we was going to speak about him because of the United links as well, is Harry Kane. Do you see a future for him in it after the summer?
No, absolutely not. And if I'm honest, this will probably be a controversial take for the Spurs fans, but I don't want to see him at Spurs next season.
Wow.
I think he's been with us for such a long time. He's a great player. He's broken records. However, going back to my point on the culture at the team, I think he's been such a staple. He's seen as kind of the golden child of Spurs. I think he's reaching the end of his career. I think what we need is an aggressive striker that is really good at the kind of the high press, which I've never seen Harry Kane do it in a game, really. Yeah. It's always a half-assed run to the ball just to make sure that the opposition team doesn't just hold it in the back for ages. And I think he's definitely playing a part in the culture issue. I think while he's got a couple of years left in his career, we should get the money that we can get for him now, and try and invest in some players from, the Italian leagues or kind of the French league that are going to be cheap for us, but are going to be good prospects for us a year or two or three down the line.
Yeah. That is quite a shock take, and we've spoken about Kane as well, like my lads, so many times on this show. So I don't want to speak too much about his transfer because I feel like we're a broken record at this point. But if just focusing on his performance specifically tomorrow, do you think if we can nullify his threat, that's pretty much job done for us? Is that the only threat you kind of see in Tottenham's team?
I think back in seasons past, you had to worry about Son and you had to worry about Kane together because that partnership was really, really dangerous. But for some reason, Son this season has just been terrible. I don't know what's happened to him. Like last season, he was absolutely lighting the place up, and I love watching him play. But this season, he's just sort of nothing's going right. He's had moments, but he's not been the Son he was last season by any stretch of the imagination. They've got really talented players like Kulusevski and Bentancur, but they keep getting injured. Just they're never quite sort of fit enough to sort of get a run in the team. I think Kulusevski is very, very talented. I think he's a very good player, but it's just, he keeps seeming to get little niggly injuries at points when he seems to be getting run in the team. I think Højbjerg's a solid player, but that's it, really. I think that's all he offers. It's weird how Jed Spence has not got running the team. Bissouma's not got running the team. You've got these talented players and they've just not been involved in the team whatsoever. I think your entire defence needs sorting out. I think you've got some decent players there, but I think the way they play in the system and stuff like that, it needs sorting out completely. So I would keep Romero. Dyer needs to go. I don't know why Perisic was brought in for any, like, you know what I mean? So I'd sort that mess out. Kane is the main worry. He's the one who's still scoring goals in a really terrible season for Spurs at the minute. Every other player is kind of like Richarlison hasn't hit the ground running, has he? He's not played, and he's been injured.
Not scored a goal in the league yet. Richarlison.
That's what I mean. So it's just Kane's your one threat that you have to worry about. If you can shut him down, I think you can mute Spurs quite well. There's quite a lot of comments, Nick. So I rattled through a couple of them.
Go for him.
There's always Reedy House in the chat. Can't see Spurs being an issue. As Roy Keane says, it's only Spurs. Wow.
Pelters.
It's already starting. Craig Mooney, guy in the top right, has a brilliant voice. I think that's you, Dan. Should get hired to do Irish film trailer narrations.
No, that's Adam. That's Adam if he's Irish.
Adam's in the top right. Dan's in the top right, though.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Apparently you're
Thank you very much, mate. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Some nice. So you've been hit with a blow and then a compliment.
If City beat Arsenal today and we beat Spurs, I think the title's back on with 11 points behind City. I think Zoe's smoking something.
I'll have some of that.
Yeah, Spurs issues 100% Levy. Conte rant when the media was the truth. In Thailand, football world turned on him instead of Levy. I felt for Conte when he got sacked. Dave Lewis, shout out to Dave. Honestly think you guys should do what you did when you sold Bale. Take the Kane money, improve everywhere else. Richarlison's Son may not be bad for next year, I guarantee it. So, comments.
Interesting. Yeah, Adam, just add to that about Harry Kane tomorrow. If we can nullify that threat, do you think we're more than capable of kind of going to Tottenham Stadium and winning?
Yeah, it seems to be probably a typical Tottenham performance last week. That 6-1, they get absolutely battered, but Harry Kane still shows up and scores a goal.
And he creates it himself, doesn't he, that goal? That's the thing, like, starting nothing.
Completely. Yeah. And he's that sort of player that can kind of pull the rabbit out of the hat, I think the saying is, and pop up with an important goal.
You got that one right, Adam.
In the air, and but for once I actually got one of them right. Yeah. He can also drop deep, and that's something that we kind of talked about as well, how he'd be kind of, good for us, dropping deep, and he can also pick a pass, and I do believe he's one of the best passers of the ball in the league as well. He's been up there with kind of the most assists in recent seasons as well. If you kind of nullify him, I think you'll kind of stop probably a good portion of their attacks, whether it's creating them or actually being on the end of them. And it's a shame we don't have our starting kind of centre back pairing, because I think if we had Varane and Martinez, we just shut up shop, and I don't think they get a sniff of anything. Of course, there's Son as well. Like, you never know, he might show up, and I can never pronounce the guy's name, Kliwajeski or whatever.
Kulusevski.
Yeah, I'm not gonna try and pronounce it with an Irish twang, but yeah, he can actually also pop up with a goal or an assist at a key moment. So there is, bits to worry about, but I am confident going into tomorrow.
And I know you said your confidence is rock bottom, Dan, but I've seen Spurs this season beat quality teams. They beat Manchester City, which was a bit of a shock. They've beat Chelsea, which, regardless of whatever season they're having, they've still got quality players in the team. And you should beat Brighton as well. So when you guys are on song, you can do it. What qualities can you bring? If they do turn up tomorrow, what can they bring to the fight?
I think, if we were to turn up, we'd still have Conte. I think he was vital in our success against, the big teams like City and Brighton. I think the thing that worked well for us was the counter-attacks. I think, I think the way that Conte played was more of he identified that we had some issues with, our midfield, our defence, our strikers, every part in the team a little bit.
Sounds like David Moyes when he came to United. We need to improve on attacking, defending, passing, scoring. You're like, what the fuck are you saying?
Well, it doesn't help having Eric Diazapan in the back line, does it? It really doesn't.
No, it doesn't. He's he's not being the greatest player when he's been on form. It's sort of dropping off even more so. And I think there's probably an issue with him there where he's so comfortable in being a starter that he's not trying that much. And he's made some stinker mistakes, this season and last. And I think, I think if we turn up, I think we might get one, maybe two past you. But I still think that, as a whole, you're a much better team than us. Even when you do have kind of, say, Maguire or De Gea on a bad day, I think all in all, you've still got attackers that can score goals and they can link up. Like Rashford, I think is a very big threat to us. All we need really is a shot on target on Lloris, and it's probably going to go in at this point in time.
If he's not injured or takes himself off at half time like he did against Newcastle.
I know. We're 5-0 down. We'll bring on Fraser Forster, and everyone's just like, "What the fuck's going on?" Was he injured, or did he just?
That's
take
what
him
he
off?
said. He said in his press conference, or like the interview afterwards, felt a muscle injury.
Oh yeah, of course he did. Yeah. All right.
I mean, he's only just come back from injury. He's only just come back from injury. To be fair to Lloris, but I think after 5 goals going past you in 20 odd minutes,
don't blame him.
Your confidence is shot. You would just want to go home at that point. I don't blame him.
Peter Griffin, like, my arm's really hurting, boss. He's like, all right, fuck off. I'll just put For Rose, just the very last question before we get into the head-to-head record and quick fire questions and all that kind of jazz. One worrying thing for us, lads, has been our away form, especially against the top teams. And I didn't realise this until yesterday. I think we've only beat Fulham away.
Top 9.
So,
it's top 9, isn't it? But if you included the top 8, it'd look fucking shocking.
Yeah. And quite a lot of times as well, which I think is a point to make. We have played on the counter-attack. So I feel like tomorrow's game might be a bit of that. The Spider-Man meme? Where they're both just pointing at each other. So Tottenham's going to play in the counter, and we're going to play in the counter. It's going to be like, it's a strange one because Tottenham are at home.
Passing it round the back between us. Just going on
I don't know if it's going to be like a bit of moments FC on either side. I have no idea. But the away form is worrying, isn't it? Like when we go away from Old Trafford, what do we think that is? Is it a mental block?
It's like the opposite of Ollie, isn't it? Like under Ollie, our away form, we were unbeaten, weren't we? For was it 20? He broke record, didn't he? Broke record for
29 games.
But then at home, we were just getting trashed every single time. We got beat by Spurs, didn't we? Like, was it like 6? They put 6 past us or something ridiculous at home?
Yeah, 6-1.
Yeah, so it's just like, it was a weird thing. It's just like, how have we gone the other way? And now under Ten Hag, we seem to struggle when we go away from home. I don't know if that's because our players are still a bit fragile from last season, like one of our worst seasons in our history, and they're still a bit scared because it is most of that team. Like, not a lot of that team has left. They're still here. So maybe they're a bit fragile. So if we do, normally when we go away, if we go a goal down, it's kind of game over, isn't it? We don't really, like under Ollie, there was always a fight back. We'd go a goal down and then we'd start playing and you'd always be confident to get a goal back. And when we go away now, if we concede, you're not confident that we're going to come back from it. So it's a worrying trend, and I hope that in the summer we could bring in reinforcements, get rid of these players that are soft and not improving under Ten Hag, because we've seen players like Wan-Bissaka step up to the plate. Luke Shaw's improved, even like after an awful season. Rashford's improved massively, but then you've got people like Maguire, who he clearly doesn't fancy. Eric Bailly's gone out on loan. Tellez is going out on loan. He bought Malacia in. So there's certain players obviously that he doesn't fancy and he's going to get rid of. So hopefully that refresh and the players bring in, that will fix it, because they've not got that mentality still in their head. But it's hard to put your finger on like what it actually is. But yeah, that's kind of my opinion on it.
Strange one, isn't it, Adam? Like, I'm just thinking of some of the games off the top of my head right away. Brentford 4-0 away. Man City 6-3 was it away. Yeah. Liverpool 7-0 away. Yeah. Aston Villa was like 4-2 or 3-2, I think, away. It's not even just. I think. Yeah, you might be right on that. It's not just for losing, because he had a lot of fucking goals as well, aren't we, at the same time?
Arsenal's the only one, isn't it? Like Arsenal's the only game away where you've gone, oh, we played well, and we kind of just missed out. That's the only one.
Mm-hmm. I feel like part of the problem why we have such a bad away record is like we're creating chances but we're not scoring them, and it's being, I suppose, it's something this season that we've actually had, and it's a trait that we've actually had, and it's why our goal difference is so low. We concede so much when we lose, but we're not scoring goals when we actually win. I look at the example at Nottingham Forest. We only won 2-0 when it should have been
6,
maybe 5 or 6. We hammered them into the net, but we just don't finish, and that's why we need that kind of world-class striker up front. I know there's been a few decisions that haven't gone our way at away grounds. I think at the Aston Villa one, where I forget who the ref was, but he made our wall stand back 15 yards instead of 10. And the FA ended up, or what's the board for the refs? There's a
PGMLO, I think it's called.
Yeah, that loss. They ended up apologizing for the mistake. Well, of course,
been about 20 apologies this season, isn't there? Like
fucking refs, assistants. Like, honestly, some of the decisions this season have been horrendous.
Mm-hmm. And then you think as well, the win that we have against the team in the top 9, it was a last-minute winner with Garnacho, Fulham away as well. Yeah. So there has to be improvement. And suddenly, it mightn't look as horrendous if we actually win tomorrow. We just want to see a good performance as well. It feels like it's been a while since we've actually had a good performance. And I think the perfect performance that we had this season was actually against Spurs as well at Old Trafford. We kind of go back because it was complete domination. But again, we didn't hammer them. We made it look a lot closer than it should have. It's just problem that we're facing. We just need a lethal number 9 to actually finish these chances. Somebody who, we might get more goals than our expected goals. You saw it when we lost 7-0. Liverpool had 2.32 expected goals.
Everything went in, didn't
it? 7.
Everything went in. Yeah, literally every touch they had just went in the back of the net.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I was looking at the record between both teams before, the Tottenham and United. In the last 5 games between both clubs, United have won 4 and Spurs have won 1, which was literally the 6-1 that you just mentioned before, the demolition where Martial got sent off. So if you are a fan of the history books and you like to look back at them and it gives you any kind of positivity, that's there for United fans. We have won the last 4 out of 5, but it'll still be a very interesting game, in my opinion. I just want to very quickly touch on the injuries before we dive into some quick-fire questions. Garnacho, I believe he's back on the pitch, but won't be ready for this game, so he's back in training. We're not entirely sure what's going on with that situation. You've got Donny, Lissandro, and Varane, who are out until the end of the season. And Bruno Fernandes, the more I see about it, the more he's kind of I don't think he's going to be involved from what I've seen. But some people saying 50-50, some people saying he might. We have no idea. I'll ask you about Bruno in a second. But Dan, do you guys have any injury issues going into this?
Unfortunately, we do. Obviously, we know now that Lloris is still somewhat injured, maybe. So there's a possibility that we're going to have Fraser Forster starting.
Okay.
If he's not feeling fit. We've got Ryan Sessegnon out. I mentioned before, he's grown in confidence a lot over the last season and a half. So, he would have been a good addition. Bentancur, he's still out. Vital player for us. We got Yves Bissouma, hasn't really played very much, but better than kind of a youth player as a sub if we needed him.
Yeah.
And I think we've got Emerson Royale, who I don't particularly like at all, but there's an injury there. And then I think finally Lucas Moura. But again, since Kulusevski has come in, he hasn't really had much playing time whatsoever.
Yeah, fair enough. Bruno Fernandes, lads, just very quickly, how much of a miss will he be tomorrow? Because we saw what happened in Sevilla, didn't we? When it was a bit Casemiro and Eriksen, the gaps in that midfield was unbelievable.
Yeah, massive. I think Dave likes to refer to it. When you don't have Bruno in that midfield, a lot of our midfielders like to treat the ball like a hand grenade and just sort of get rid quickly as possible. Don't like to have time on the ball, pick a pass out and stuff. I think Sabitza's capable of it. I think he's very good on the ball. I just think he had that injury, didn't he, at Forest, and then he's not been quite the same since. I thought he had when he scored the goal was it the FA Cup? He scored
his first goal was in the FA Cup.
I thought that was his best performance for it. I thought he was really good. And I thought, okay, he's going to step up now. This is going to be it. But he's sort of.
I think Sevilla was his best performance?
Sevilla very good as well. I thought he was really good against Sevilla as well. And then Eriksen's been worrying. Like Forest, they had a fantastic performance, and you're like, he's back. This is what we missed. And then the next two games, absolutely shit the bed, been terrible, and it's just weird. And then if we do, God knows if Casemiro's due another suspension. I suspect he is because he got another yellow card in the FA Cup semi-final. So fucking knows how many times he's going to get suspended this season. But without him in the team, we just get played through, don't we? Like, you remember when he was suspension, the amount of times our midfield it wasn't there. Just ridiculous play for it. And that's what we suffer when we don't have Bruno in the team. Especially Bruno and Casemiro are like key cogs in that team. I think you can rotate that 8. You could put a Fred in there, you could put a Sabitzer in there, you could put an Eriksen in there and get different things, but those two are super, super key. And without Bruno, we're going to miss that kind of key passing, that sort of aggression, the tracking back and stuff. Eriksen could do parts of that, but he doesn't track back. His defensive capabilities are not great. His strength off the ball isn't good. So you miss that in the team when Bruno's not there. And it's weird. I think if he does miss this game for injury, it's only the second time in his entire career where he's missed a game through injury, which is stunning, by the way. Absolutely stunning. Phil Jones hasn't been on a pitch for 2.5 years, and Bruno hasn't missed a game in his entire career. So it's amazing.
Yeah, it's slightly worrying, Adam, if we don't have him for.
Yeah, I think the image break when we might have been on alive as well, and our heads just kind of dropped, I think, when his wife kind of put it up on the Instagram story. But thankfully it came out that it was kind of a precaution and that he's been seen actually on grass, so hopefully it's not that bad. We might see him on the bench, maybe come on a wee bit later. He could kind of shape things up a bit nicer, but I think I saw a stat where it was when Casemiro, Bruno, and Eriksen all start, we haven't lost a game.
Well, that's gone out the window now, hasn't
it? Has it?
How? Didn't we? Oh no, he didn't play, didn't he? Sevilla. He was suspended.
Oh, he was suspended.
Yeah. You're right.
So it's still kind of going strong. And I suppose if it's there, it's a stat to look at, because we've gone a whole season without that. I know we haven't really seen much of that midfield in terms of suspensions, injuries with Eriksen, but he is the kind of glue in that, keeping that midfield together. And we've seen recently when he plays that deeper role, he likes to pick up the ball and actually run with it and pick out, that kind of trademark Rooney pass. Do you remember when Rooney had dropped deep and he put it out to the wingers? I haven't seen that really since Rooney. So it's nice to actually see that, and he can build kind of from a deeper position. Despite playing deeper, he can also create big chances as well, because he's actually created more recently from that deeper role. He's a massive miss because when we don't have him, the midfield just looks so disconnected.
Yeah, I'd go Fred tomorrow instead. I wouldn't put Eriksen in there. We'll get into predicted 11s in a minute anyway. Right, let's do some quick fire questions. Tomorrow night, Manchester United versus Spurs in the Premier League at the Tottenham Stadium. Will both teams score?
Yes.
Yeah.
Will Harry Kane score?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Give me one surprise selection from both sides.
Maurice.
Lloris.
I think Maguire. I think he plays.
Oh, it's not great.
I can feel a Maguire.
For me, Davinson Sanchez, I think.
That's all. So that's two centre backs who both teams are just like a little bit like, oh, I'm not sure what's going on here. Even when they brought him on in the last game, Davinson Sanchez against Newcastle 5-0 down, you're like, the poor lad, like he's just had a terrible couple of weeks. I felt so sorry for him. So yeah, that is definitely a surprise if any of them players get picked. Just a throwaway question: how much is Harry Kane worth? Remember, it is quick fire, so try not to.
70 million at tops.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, 70 million if he had an Irish passport.
I like it. Name one player you would take from United, Dan.
Oh, that's a real good question.
Who would
Maguire?
Who would fit your team, or someone you
can
need
have
in that
Maguire.
position?
You can have him for
as much
free.
as much as I dislike the man as a whole, I think Bruno Fernandes. I think we're very severely lacking in that midfield, and as you say, he sticks to the ball. He doesn't try and get rid of it, which a lot of our players do at the moment.
Interesting. And then last quick fire prediction for man of the match tomorrow.
Rashford.
He's born to play red and white.
Oh,
I'd say Rashford as well.
Oh, Adam, are you going to go for a hat trick?
I'm going to go with Sabitzer.
Sabitzer. Okay, that's a bit of a curveball. I like it. I hope he is, because we're going to need him to put in a performance like that for tomorrow in that midfield. Dan, do you want to kick us off with your predicted 11 for tomorrow?
Sure. I think I think Lloris is going to be in goal. I think we're going to kind of go back to what we know and play sort of a 3-4-2-1 rather than a back four. So I think we're going to have Romero right back. I think we're going to have Dyer centre back because he's always there. I think Clement Longley is going to be left back. I think we'll have Pedro Porro because we haven't got any other options in sort of like right mid. I think centre we'll have Oliver Skip and then Pierre-Emile Højbjerg because, again, no other option really there. Perisic left mid. I think he'll sort of play a left wing position a bit more. And then I think we'll have Kulusevski right wing, Son left wing, and Kane striker. I think that's the formation and the squad that has beaten some of the top teams like Brighton that are upsetting a lot of big teams. So I think we'll try that again.
That's why I think it could be a banana. I think if them three can turn up, Son, Kane, and Kulusevski on the counter attack, they can cause problems. I feel like they will. I don't want to be pessimistic, but I do feel like they will. Adam or Sam, who wants to throw their predicted up?
Go on, Adam.
Okay. David De Gea and I think Wan-Bissaka starts. Had a really, really good game against Mitoma for Brighton. Managed to lock him down. I'm going to go with the same back line that was in the FA Cup semi-final. It won't be surprised if Maguire does start, but I'm going to go Lindelof, Shaw, and I think Dalot at left back. Then in midfield, I'm going to go Casemiro, Eriksen, and Sabitzer. I don't think Bruno will be starting. And up front, Anthony. I think he'll go Weghorst and Rashford.
Okay, Weghorst, please. No, just no. If I see Weghorst and Maguire starting in that back lineup, my score prediction is fucking completely changing.
Can you imagine a front line of like Elanga, Weghorst, and like fucking, it could be terrible. My 11, De Gea, Wan-Bissaka. I think Maguire starts alongside Lindelof. I think Shaw goes back to left back. I think it's Casemiro, Fred, and Eriksen. I think Rashford, Martial, Anthony.
What have I done the same? No, I've gone same back line as the semi-final. I've gone Casemiro, Sabitzer, and Eriksen, Anthony, Martial, and Rashford. I think we'll start up top. We would have done a combined 11, but it's basically our team next season with Harry Kane in it, so we're not going to do a combined 11. Maybe the discussion about Son, Kulusevski, I'm open to it, because our attack hasn't exactly been great either. Score predictions. Again, do you want to go in the same order, Dan? What do you think?
If I'm hopeful, I'm going to say a 1-1, maybe a 2-2. I think we could maybe push a draw. If I'm realistic, I'm going to say it's going to be 3-1 United.
Who scores, do you think?
For us, it's obviously going to be Harry Kane. For you guys, I think it'll be maybe 1-2 from Rashford and a Casemiro header or something like that from a cross. We're terrible at defending crosses.
I think that's literally my score prediction. I think I'll have a check in a sec. But Adam?
Yeah, I think 3-1. I can see a Harry Kane penalty. I'm going to go Sabitzer, Anthony, and why not Casemiro as well?
Yeah, use promo code Adam for 10% off your record when doing that. Sam, what do you think?
I think it's going to be 1-1. I think it's going to be one of those games. I think Tottenham are going to be so afraid of like what happens to them at Newcastle. They're just going to set up shop and defend for their lives. Then our attackers haven't exactly been among the goals, have they, recently? So I think it's one of those games. So Harry Kane scores and Rashford gets one.
I have got visions in my head right now of Son getting in behind and Harry Maguire just doing that, trying to chase back and falling over his own fucking feet if he starts.
Oh, he grabs all the Son, he yanks him down, penalty. Harry Kane puts the ball in.
Yeah, red card, fucking all that absolute bollocks.
Brilliant, sounds fantastic.
I just know that Tottenham players are afraid that they're going to have to pay back the entire stadium, so they're just going to sit back and defend.
Don't concede. Don't concede.
Yeah.
Oh God, it is a daunting game for me. I don't know. I said the same thing. I hate to be that guy, but I said the same thing before the Villa game. I said the same thing before the Newcastle game. I just feel like it's one of them games. They will defend it for their life. It'd be a scruffy counter attack, and it's either a draw or we scrape a 2-1 win. I think Anthony and Rashford score, and then the obvious Kane for them, probably a penalty. To be honest, but yeah, that concludes the preview for today, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please do subscribe to the channel and smash a like if you've enjoyed this one. I'll be live with team news tomorrow from 7:15, so make sure you come and join me and we'll go through the team together. Big thank you for Dan for coming on.
Thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I always like having like opposite fans on, just because the same reason why I like Jamie Carragher's punditry.
Yes, get in.
Yeah, the same reason why I like Jamie Carragher's punditry at times, because it's not red tinted. You get what they actually think. It's not kind of covered at times. So yeah, I appreciate you coming on, and always welcome whenever we're chatting about Spurs. You might not want to come on when Harry Kane. Actually, you're saying that you want Harry Kane to go, don't you? Did you say at the start? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind coming on if Harry Kane plays for United.
Okay.
Also, we could just say every time we play another team away, their goalkeeper has the time of their lives. So Fraser Forster might have the absolute game of his life tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to be the clunky 6'6" bastard that he really is.
Basically, Weghorst in net. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Right, for up-to-date news as well, guys, on transfers, clips from the show, aesthetically pleasing visuals on the Instagram, make sure you go follow us on social media. All the handles are on the right-hand side of your screen. And a big thank you to the other two lads as well.
There's four of us sort of below next time.
Oh, shit, yeah. At the bottom, not on the right. The right-hand side of your screen, there's fuck all there. The bottom of your screen, that's where the socials are at. And yeah, big thank you to the two lads. who are always on. But yeah, it's always a pleasure, lads. Thank you.
Yeah, check out Nick on Stratford Paddock. He was on there yesterday. Did you go on yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did the Spurs preview with Jay Motti. Shout out to Paddock and Jay for always having us on and sort of promoting us and stuff. We appreciate it. So yeah, if you haven't watched it, after you finish watching this, go to Paddock, go check that out, and then leave a comment underneath saying you came from Real Reds. Let them know. We'd appreciate it.
Real Red Ultra. Yes, yeah, let's look forward to game tomorrow. One last question before we head off, lads. Who is winning the game tonight between City and Arsenal?
City.
Oh,
City. Definitely City.
I'm going to go with a draw.
A draw. I don't want to draw. I just want it to be dramatic. I want it to be a smashing.
Yeah.
I think City dick him. I think they absolutely dick him.
Yeah. Are we hoping for a City dick him?
Scoring.
It's a weird sentence to say, isn't it?
I think as long as City don't win the treble, I want City to win. Like if Madrid can knock them out of the Champions League and then we win the FA Cup and then they win the Premier League, I'm all right with that. That's fine.
Adam, I've got a question for you. A very quick one. Who's more likely to beat City? Madrid in the Champions League, us in the FA Cup final, or Arsenal tonight?
I'm going to go with us in the final, Finals are very, very tricky there.
Oh, wow.
You've seen what they've done against Madrid over 2 legs. Was it last season? Madrid just managed to scrape over the line with last-minute goals. 2 last-minute goals, I think it was.
Right. Madrid. Insane.
Yeah. So I think set up kind of more defensively. I think we might be able to beat them in the final. We'd be probably the trickiest because if they are sitting on a treble and we're one of the last teams that can kind of stop it,
we have to.
We got to do it. You got to put everything into that performance. Like I want to see our players die on the pitch that day.
Yeah. I'm getting fucking kendo sticks out for Haaland's legs, mate, and I'm just walking onto the pitch and I'm just bang, bang.
Can we ask
De Bruyne?
Can we ask someone on the Real Madrid team just a 2-foot Haaland, take a red card for the team, injure him, send him off?
One of you's got to do it, boys.
Yeah.
One of you's got to do it. So let's just hope. I don't know. We'll see what happens tonight. Very interesting game. We're going to kick off in half an hour in it. So we'll go watch that and take care of yourself, guys. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you tomorrow for the game, 7:15. Come and join me for team news. Take care. Peace.